During my trip, Mark and I had this awkward silence that felt huge, like a Cold War. When the train finally pulled into the station, he just got off without waiting for me. I'd actually fallen asleep, and by the time the ticket collector woke me up, I had already missed my stop. Surprisingly, I didn't feel the dramatic sadness I thought I would. I just calmly went and bought another ticket. It turns out that goodbyes are often quiet, not big emotional scenes. "You didn't get off?" I texted him. "Yeah, fell asleep," he replied, with those 3 little dots that mean so much. Then he sent me a location, an address for a hotel. "I'm waiting for you. Can you get here by 9? I checked the time, 2 hours until 9. I figured I could make it if I got off at the next stop and rushed back. Outside the window, endless wheat fields stretched out, rolling and shimmering in the morning sun. It was such a beautiful sight, one I rarely stopped to really look at. "No need to wait," I texted back. "Let's break up." I saw him typing on the other side, but the messages were slow. Finally, one came through. "Up to you." No argument, no fighting. Just like that, 6 years of our relationship were over, peacefully and simply. The woman sitting next to me must have seen the look on my face because she offered me a cup of warm water. "Trouble with your boyfriend?" I took the water, smiled, and shook my head. I first met Mark when I was 17. The thing about him was, I'd never seen him get genuinely angry at anyone. The first time I really noticed him was during our junior year's New Year's Eve party. The girl who was supposed to co-host with me backed out because her boyfriend was being possessive. Mark was nudged forward to fill in. He had long, dark hair, a narrow, straight nose, and light pink lips under a slightly turned-up nose tip. He looked like he'd stepped right out of a comic book. Maybe it was the festive atmosphere, but all I remember is my heart racing. I started finding excuses to be near him all the time. Wherever he was, I made sure I was there too. Before morning classes, I'd rush, totally out of breath, to leave steaming buns and milk on his desk, then dash back to my own seat. During his halftime break at a competition, I shot through the crowd like an arrow, making sure I was the first one to reach him, handing him a water bottle from my pocket. His distant eyes held a question. "Why are you everywhere?" I tilted my head, not ashamed at all. "I like you. Get used to it." He let out a soft laugh, took my water, and drank. Drops of it trickled down his chin to his neck. "I don't like you. Get used to that," he countered. "Don't believe me? Just try your luck. I bet your patience won't last a month." I stared at his lips, wet with the water, and made a promise to myself. These soft, moist lips? I was going to kiss them. Absolutely. I gave him a confident smile. "Just wait. You're going to lose." My friends warned me to stop wasting my time, saying a girl like Mark was like a proud queen, her heart colder than a century-old glacier. But once I decide on something, not even 10 strong bulls could change my mind. Back then, I foolishly thought I would be the one exception, the one who would finally make him lose his composure. Many people pursued Mark, but I was the only one who kept going. I juggled chasing him and studying, just barely getting into the same university he did. At the freshman meeting, I swapped my glasses for contacts and styled my hair in the trendiest way. I wore a bright yellow jacket and stood in his path. He was usually expressionless, but he looked slightly startled. His voice even held a hint of teasing. "Tisk, you're persistent." Not long after that day, he agreed to date me. His straightforwardness felt unreal. Later, while waiting for him to finish class so we could get dinner, I found out why. His friend asked him, "Didn't you say you didn't like Alex?" My old name. He was busy texting me back. "Boyfriend's been waiting long. let's go eat your favorite Japanese food later." When he looked up, his eyes were full of uncontrollable laughter. "So, what if I didn't like him? Can't I be with him?" To Mark, I had simply appeared on a path he was already walking, so he just picked me up along the way. It wasn't about love. Actually, after we got together, he was an amazing partner. He planned surprises for our anniversaries and would set aside whole afternoons to craft custom couple mugs with me, despite his busy schedule. The most memorable incident was when I forgot him on the side of the road while I was frantically revising my thesis. I showed up 3 hours late, full of apologies. But he just smiled and said it was fine. To make it up to him, I took him to a fancy dinner. He didn't say much, but he secretly paid for it in advance. Ever since I overheard that conversation between him and his friend, I carried a constant feeling of unease. Our relationship remained stuck at kissing and hugging because this fragile connection felt like a ticking time bomb, just waiting for the right moment to explode. Maybe it was the romantic night atmosphere or the mounting pressure as graduation approached, but with the help of some alcohol, I pressed myself onto him. My kisses were clumsy, moving from his nose down to his throat. He arched his back, steadying my waist. His handsome eyebrows were furrowed, but he kept his emotions hidden. His voice was hoarse. "Alex, do you know what you're doing?" In the warm light, I propped myself up on either side of him, defiant. "Mark, you're faking it, aren't you?" He laughed, a hint of irritation in the sound. He slightly exerted his slim waist and gently kissed my face, his laugh charming. "Still think I'm faking?" His question made me blush. My hands released him, as if they had been burned. After graduation, Mark followed his mentor to a lab in a city called CDA. He asked if we should go our separate ways, or if I should tag along. His expression was calm, as if he were just making an everyday decision. I chose the latter. We settled down in CDA. He took me to meet his parents, and we discussed engagement plans for our 5th anniversary. On that 5th anniversary, he came home with a beautiful heterochromatic white cat and wanted me to name it. "Coco, how about that?" I excitedly took the cat, holding it close. Mark didn't look at me, instead teasing the cat with his fingers, his smile faint. "Your mom's a foodie, always naming things after food. Coco, keep your mom company. Make him laugh. Don't make him sad, or Dad will deduct your fish sticks." He made me laugh. "Mark, are you even human? Threatening a kitten?" Upon hearing this, Mark's gaze deepened. Back then, I genuinely dreamed about our future. The little details I overlooked were easily covered up. But eventually, Coco died. It didn't even make it to 2 years old. At that moment, something seemed to shatter. When I returned from a business trip, Coco didn't come running to rub against my leg as usual. I went to hug it, and it screamed, scratching me before running away. Mark nervously checked my wound, insisting that I get a vaccine at the hospital. He tried to reassure me, saying maybe Coco didn't recognize me because I was away on a business trip for too long. Something felt wrong. Coco was always gentle and timid, let alone being aggressive. I grabbed the cat's front right paw. No scar there. This cat, which looked exactly like Coco, was not Coco. Mark's expression changed slightly. He smiled, asking if I was remembering wrong. He didn't know that Coco's injury was my fault. It happened when I took Coco for a walk around the neighborhood. A dog attacked me, ripping at my clothes. Coco bravely charged at the dog. Coco blinded the dog, but was severely injured in the process. Its front leg was nearly torn off, barely held by torn flesh and skin. Even after recovery, the scar was still shocking if you looked closely. At that time, Mark had just started a new project and was almost constantly in the lab, rarely coming home. When he did, it was always in a rush. He missed these details, and I never told him about them. After my constant questioning, Mark finally told me the truth. He was too overwhelmed, so he took Coco to the lab to stay with him. A new undergrad, unaware, mistook Coco for a test animal. Mark tried to defend him, saying it was an unintentional accident. The man before me, claiming to be Coco's dad, showed no sadness in his eyes. He once carefully picked new toys for the fluffy little guy. But why? Coco was gone, and I was the only one grieving. Mark and I had a huge argument. Well, it was more of a one-sided fight from my end. He stayed calm, holding me tightly, trying to soothe me. "It was just a cat, honey. If you don't like this one, I'll help you pick another." To Mark, a cat's role was companionship, easily replaceable. He couldn't grasp my grief. "But Mark, it's not the same. How could it be? Like Alex's wife can't be anyone but Mark." Mark accused me of playing with words, being overly sensitive, and told me not to overthink. He assured me we'd be okay, but deep down, I knew we'd never be the same. The dream I had built for myself shattered, exposing the raw truth. The memories I had created weren't unique. They could be replaced. My endless pursuit of him was nothing more than a joke. His wife could be anyone, just as any cat could be Coco. He excelled in his role as a husband, but he was detached from the person behind Alex. Most painfully, I was acutely aware that he didn't love me as much as I adored him. In this relationship, he was at ease because there was always an exit, but my infatuation had blinded me, drawing me to him like a moth to a flame, denying me any right to feel wronged. I avoided Mark, using work as an excuse, working late into the night. I thought of Coco. It used to tilt its head, sitting in the hallway, ears perked, listening for my return. It used to rush into my arms, demanding affection. I had bought a new toy, but Coco was never coming back to receive it. In the third month of our silent treatment, Mark proposed a trip to reconcile. His work required him to be on call, so our trips typically stayed close to CDA. This time, he took extended leave. We planned to visit City C, miles away from our home. However, it was tourist season, and last-minute tickets were sold out. Through a friend, he got hold of 2 seats far apart on the train. Upon reaching City C, the train only stopped for a few minutes. Mark got off. I did not make it in time, and stayed on board. I fell ill once I finally exited the train. I grabbed a cab to the nearest hospital. Stress had tanked my immune system. While checking in, I ran into Mark's colleague, specifically the undergrad he mentioned, Leo. Leo recognized me from a photo in Mark's wallet. He gave me a sincere apology. I thought Coco was a lab animal. When I realized the truth, I wanted to stop, but the data was so perfect. Mark reluctantly allowed it to proceed, following up for more accurate results. He even got recognition for it. A trade-off, I suppose. "What are you saying?" I asked, stunned. Leo, oblivious, repeated excitedly, "Yeah, he might get promoted this year. Please say nice things about me to him. I want to have him as my mentor." I laughed bitterly. "So Coco was a step to your future?" The world blurred, and I fainted. I dreamed of Coco convulsing, its mouth foaming. Even in its final moments, it hoped someone would realize the mistake. Mark, meanwhile, was lovingly calling another cat Coco, alongside a wife that vaguely resembled me. I woke abruptly. Mark was at my bedside, eyes filled with concern. "How are you feeling?" "All right," I interrupted coldly. "Why didn't you stop the experiment?" His hand, mid-air to check my fever, froze. He didn't answer. He busied himself with a meal box. "You've been out for 3 days. Hungry? This is your favorite lean pork porridge with century egg, extra shrimp for nutrition." Not knowing when you'd wake, I reheated it every 3 hours. He tried a spoonful and offered it to me. It's perfect now. Anger surged through me. I knocked his hand away. Porridge splattered across the floor. Metal clanged against marble, echoing sharply. Mark sighed deeply, directly meeting my eyes. After getting the call, I rushed over here non-stop. For 3 days, I stayed by your side, not leaving an inch away, afraid something would happen to you. So, Alex, the first thing you ask when you wake up is about that damn beast? The look of grievance and anger alternated on his ridiculously handsome face. I raised my head and looked him in the eye. Sarcastic, Mark. I didn't know you could get mad. He tugged at the corner of his mouth, looking stern. As for Coco, I don't think my decision was wrong. Sacrifice had meaning. Why can't you let it go? His lack of remorse annoyed me, so I snapped. Mark, you're just a selfish hypocrite. Yeah, I'm a villain, and you're a saint. But remember, you were the one who chased after me back then, sticking to me like a leech. Couldn't shake you off, he sneered, his voice cold. What, you finally see the real me? Regret it and want to break up? Do you think you can just come and go as you please? You think I'd beg you to stay with tears? Don't even think about it. There are plenty of better-looking guys than you out there, Alex. And you're nothing. I felt a chill as I thought about how all the wonderful memories I created meant nothing to him. All those genuine feelings were wasted. Reaching the point of pain clears your head. Calmly, I said, just go. Let's not meet again. Mark paused, his eyes deep, with a hint of self-deprecation on his lips. He grabbed his hair in frustration, his tone heavy. You started this. You handle it. Explain the breakup to our families. I nodded. He left slowly. In the past, if he so much as frowned leaving, I'd run after him and hug him from behind. But those intimate gestures meant nothing to him. Cheap and ridiculous. The doorknob finally turned. I called after him. Ha ha. A light sneering sound in the silent space. It echoed in my ears. Mark tilted his chin back in a new it kind of way. You're the one who liked century egg and lean pork porridge. I paused, then said calmly, and by the way, I'm allergic to shrimp. At my words, Mark's expression went from shock to panic, then forced calm. His retreating figure was quite pitiful. About the breakup, my reason was studying abroad. A weak excuse, but Mark's parents didn't mind. Before I left, Mark's mom pulled me aside. Alex, I'm sorry on Mark's behalf. I was surprised. Mark's mom handed me a bag. I know what my son's like, with all his bad habits since he was young. You're the only one who tolerated him all these years. I'd have given him a good slap. I support you furthering your studies, and if you can, come visit me and your uncle often. No matter what happens between you and Mark, I've always seen you as a son. Mark stood in the distance, hands in pockets, looking impatient. Once in the car, Mark started it coldly. If it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be giving you a ride. I ignored him, opening the bag. Inside were the red envelopes and jewelry I'd returned over the years, totaling around $1 million. Take them back, I said. Mark gripped the wheel, glanced briefly, his tone icy. I don't want anything you've touched. It's bad luck. Mark, with his stunning face, hid a manipulative nature underneath. Happy, he was harmless, sometimes even fun and humorous. Upset, his side remarks could sting to the bone. I remember once, while waiting for him to get the car, I chatted with an old classmate on the road. Mark was silent with a dark face. Carefully, I asked, "What's wrong?" "Do you fall for anyone you meet?" he said, expressionless, his words hurtful one by one. "Alex, your love is cheap." Back then, I swallowed the bitterness, rationalized his behavior. He's just jealous. We're in love. But how can there be love if it brings miseries? Healing alone in a corner, looking at the woman beside me, memories surged. I blurted, "From head to toe, everything you wear was bought by me. Even those red undies for the new year. If it's all bad luck, why not those?" Mark's face was livid, hit by my sharp words. I poured out the grievances. "I've even slept with you, so why don't you go die, you—" Mark gritted his teeth. "Alex, I suggest you get smart. Remember, you're in my car." "What, you gonna dump me on the road?" I sat up, shouted. "Stop the car!" Mark clenched his jaw, stopped speaking, and floored the gas. The sudden acceleration made me instinctively grab his arm, then let go. He gave me a sidelong look, then glanced away. In front of my complex, he dumped me out, bag and all. Once steady, his car sped off. Unless there's some miracle, this was our last time. Not a pretty end. I couldn't put my finger on how I felt. The world is huge, but two people meeting only takes a touch of fate. When it's over, we'll never meet again. At dinner, my mom started her lecture. "It's not even a matter of principle. I don't know what's gotten into you." I didn't argue. To him, my behavior seemed immature and petty, but only I knew the burden of not wanting to live in constant compromise anymore. Coco's situation was just the trigger. In this relationship, I lost myself. The outcome was unacceptable. A piece of meat set to rot. Before things go south, it should be cut out. "All right, let the kid enjoy his meal," my dad chimed in. "Once enjoy? He's been freeloaded on for years," my mom said. I paused. "Mom, what are you saying?" My mom lost her cool, tossing her chopsticks. "Isn't it true? You gave up everything for a woman, changed your college major, moved to a city far west from home." We finally accepted Mark. He doesn't drink or smoke, just a little career-focused. The perfect person to marry. You're upset over this trivial issue again? Don't work yourself into a corner. The ones closest to us, they know the best way to hit where it hurts the most. We parted on bad terms. My parents are both teachers, very traditional household. From what color clothes to where to study, and later work and settle down. Even the woman I would spend the rest of my life with, preferably someone also in education. My life was planned out from early on. Whatever they thought was right, I'd always want to do the opposite. I want to prove that my choices are right too. Life isn't just the path they laid out. I'm working hard for my choices, and in fact, these choices have yielded positive results. I became proud and thought feelings were the same. Following the love of my life with sheer will. About Mark, I lost, and I accepted it. Tears slid down my cheeks, cold, seeping into my heart. But I smiled. I'm still young. I can start over. Life's error margin is wider than you think. I shouldn't give up because of one wrong choice. In the middle of the night, I knocked on my mom's door. I knew she wasn't asleep either. Parents love their kids, so they planned far and wide for us. They walked the path successfully, so they paved the way, hoping I'd avoid the twists and turns. That's all. There she sat in her reading glasses at the bedside, stitching an old-fashioned cross-stitch. It's what she does to relieve insomnia. The warm light casting shadows, revealing some silver strands in her hair. She glanced at me, but stayed silent, continuing her cross-stitch. I walked over, hugged her from behind. Gently nuzzling her shoulder, called her, "Mom!" Clingy as ever. She ignored me. I pressed on. "Mom." "Don't call me Mom. I'm old, can't control you anymore." She still didn't look at me, but I said, "I want to go see the world, and I want Mom and Dad to see the world with me." Maybe my words moved her a bit. "What's to see? Your dad and I are half into the ground already. We thought you'd live well with Mark. then we'd have completed our life's tasks. I protested. Who said these tasks? Mom, life is long enough that it can become mundane with just eating and sleeping. But life is also a fleeting journey. Before we're gone, why not explore the world? Save her life. She adjusted her reading glasses. Where did you learn this nonsense? I continued nuzzling her, playing along. Must have inherited it. After all, my mom's a respected literature teacher. She smiled, the wrinkles around her eyes deepening. But as she chuckled, she started crying. What will you do when your dad and I are gone? I blinked back tears, reassuring her. I've grown up. I can take care of myself. You can't even promise to always be nice to me, let alone others. Remember when as a kid I went swimming in the pond and you chased me with a cane? You didn't hold back? She put down her cross-stitch, hugged me back, seeming to accept that Mark and I were over. With a sigh, fine, as long as you're healthy and safe. Dad awakened by the noise, saw, smiling. You two were arguing so much you barely ate. Must be hungry. Let me cook some noodles. Mom wiped her tears, calling out, Add 2 eggs! In our small room, the 3 of us laughed together. The next day, Mom came with a stack of pictures, waking me up. Aunt introduced you to a lot of quality single ladies. Why not take a look? I made a face. Well, last night went to waste. Following days were exceptionally busy yet fulfilling. Besides attending classes, I had to handle various paperwork and visas, plus attend the blind dates Mom set up. She insisted, think of it as meeting new friends. You can never have too many. I went reluctantly. The woman at the dinner, graceful and composed, quite different from those pretentious types. But I had just ended a 6-year relationship, and for now I wasn't ready for another, so I politely declined her offer to meet again. As for Mark, I realized I hadn't thought about him in a while. Turns out forgetting someone isn't as hard as I imagined. Yet, while I forgot, someone else stepped in mindfully. Mark and Leo appeared suddenly in my line of sight. From where I sat, they were close. Mark speaking softly to him, his expressions gentle and smiling subtly. Almost sensing it, Mark looked my way. I lowered my head, avoided looking. Hopefully, he didn't see me. Moments later, I looked up. They'd already sat down, Mark facing away, laughing and chatting with Leo. Going separate ways is now more real than before. My date sensed my absent-mindedness, ended the meeting early. Outside, waiting for a cab, a car's headlights flashed in my face. I raised a hand against the blinding light, squinting to see Mark behind the wheel. He, who never smoked, had a cigarette in hand, looking pensively. Silent for a while, he spoke first. Was that your new flame? None of your business. Mark remained indifferent. Flick, dash. Did you report me? I was taken aback. As if confirming her hunch, Mark chuckled, nodding. Stray cats being used in experiments is common. Your report doesn't count. You'd be better off accusing me of moral failings for cheating, but doesn't hold. From start to end, there was only you, Alex. Seeing my silence, he chuckled. I'm with Leo now. He's really good. Not like you, so pretentious and over the top. I responded with a smile. Well, congratulations. He studied me closely, as if searching for something on my face. The result of stray animals and experiments didn't surprise me. I consulted professionals. At most, it'll draw public attention, but the impact of public sentiment is significant, even if it meant internally criticizing Mark for letting personal grudges affect his work. Fine, he should be punished for Coco's death. So I reported him to his labs. Higher-ups. Bad people get what they deserve, just not their time yet. Hearing this, Mark laughed more flamboyantly. Alex, should I call you naive or just plain dumb? That bad people get what they deserve thing is just spiritual comfort for those who can't do anything useful. Just then, a flash of lightning cut through the sky, and it seemed like it might rain. I quickly took a few steps back from Mark, scared of getting caught up in it. I even kindly reminded her, "Looks like it's gonna storm. You should leave." Mark didn't seem to care as he got out of the car and walked toward me, talking to himself. "You kept talking about how good this place is, so I thought I'd try it. It's pretty spicy. I choked a few times, but I could handle it." Mark is a southern boy who can't handle any spice. Eating spicy food keeps him up all night with a stomachache. Me, I'm a spice fanatic, but I got used to eating bland food with him all these years. So when he said he could handle it, I was kind of surprised. Maybe it's thanks to his new boyfriend, Leo. Seeing I still wasn't responding, he opened the passenger door. "I'll give you a ride." "No need. I called a car," I replied. "We can't even be friends anymore?" Under his hopeful gaze, I nodded deeply. Mark leaned back a bit with a self-deprecating smile tugging at his lips. "I still can't believe we ended up like this because of a cat. It was the first time you gave me the cold shoulder, the first time you ignored me, the first time we fought. Am I really worth less to you than a cat? This cat was a gift for me. I really brought this upon myself." I paused, a nameless sadness sweeping through me. Mark not fighting is what's really terrifying. We're human. We have all sorts of emotions, but I was too scared to show my dissatisfaction, more afraid to lose my temper at him, because I knew he would be the first to let go. Even when we were at our closest, he could calmly ask if we'll go our separate ways, or if I'd move to City A with him. In the future he plans, I'm never there. This relationship was held together by my grip. If I let go, there's nothing left for us. You knew getting a similar cat to replace Coco would upset me, but you still chose work over Coco. You were sure I wouldn't pick a fight because I loved you the most. When I realized this, it's not that I stopped loving you, I just chose to love myself. Mark moved closer and grasped my wrist, seemingly wanting to explain something, but in the end, he was left with just silence. My ride arrived. I nodded for him to let go. His eyes reddened slightly, and he spoke in a sincere tone. "Alex, I can change. Really, I can change all of this. Come back and we can be like before. If you're mad, just hit me to vent. Being with Leo was just out of spite. These days I've really missed you, truly." Under his pleading gaze, I coldly and mercilessly, word by word. "But Mark, I don't love you anymore." Mark froze, his eyes full of shock and disbelief. Maybe my words hit him like a ton of bricks. Even after I got in the car, he stood there like a statue. As if on cue, a heavy rain poured down, the car roof noisy with the pounding rain. As the car drove away through the rain, I could still see his familiar figure standing there. The headlights stretched his solitary shadow until it vanished. "Is she your girlfriend?" the driver lady asked. I was surprised and realized she was the one who gave me water on the train before. I corrected her with a smile. "Ex-girlfriend. Did she see someone else?" I thought about it. At least during our time together, he was faithful. When I shook my head, the lady sighed. "I've been with my husband since I was 18. Even had 2 kids with him, married for over a decade, and he treats me well, gives me his paycheck." When she talked about it, her eyes lit up. Just as I was about to congratulate her, she added, "But he secretly had another woman outside." Seeing my pause, she sighed heavily. "When I was young, I'd fight about it, but now the kids are older, and I just make do. It's like this. As long as there's no third party, we can manage." She tried to console me, seeming indifferent yet free-spirited. But all I saw was a middle-aged woman's self-comfort after sacrificing herself for her family. Isn't loyalty to your partner the most basic requirement? When did that become a virtue in choosing a partner? If a tumor that could turn malignant at any moment isn't caught and removed, even if it means not coming out unscathed, you should fight to eradicate it before it spreads beyond cure. My words seemed to surprise the driver a bit. Love shouldn't be about having no boundaries, dignity, or leading to downfall. Love is about supporting each other, moving forward, harmoniously thriving. Mark didn't go back to City A. Instead, he kept showing up everywhere I went, like on my way to a seminar or near my home. He wore clothes I bought him and greeted me. I ignored him, but he just smiled. He seemed to be trying to play the role of a deeply affectionate partner. "I bet she won't have the patience for more than a month," confidently he assured me. "Just wait and see. I'll prove my determination." The scene felt oddly familiar, but I didn't dwell on it. Later, my mom told me Mark bought the house across from ours and planned to stay there long-term. My mom found out because when the dishwasher broke and we needed someone to fix it, Mark just showed up and took care of it. Not only the dishwasher, but he also changed light bulbs and even took on the work of painting old furniture. My mom shared this proudly. "Mom, I'm not with him anymore," I said, worried she'd hope for a reconciliation. "Who cares?" my mom replied, with a dismissive wave. "Serves him right for messing with my son." Thanks to Mark, my mom stopped planning any blind dates for me. Every day, they found new ways to torment Mark. If it wasn't throwing rotten eggs at his door, it was dumping trash. My mom wanted Mark gone, but Mark kept sticking it out day after day. One day, I couldn't just watch anymore, so I asked Mark for a meeting. Mark showed up all dressed up in a suit, holding a huge bouquet of red roses. As people slurped skewers, they looked at Mark like he was from another planet. Mark didn't care, his eyes twinkling happily as he walked over to me. "Alex, you're finally willing to see me aside." "What are you doing? Seriously?" A flicker of disappointment crossed Mark's face, but he forced a smile. "Alex, this time it's my turn to chase you, no matter what." I lost my patience, throwing the flowers he was trying to give me back in his face. A few scratches marred his handsome face. Mark didn't seem to mind, but his smile was pathetic, so desperate, so eager to please, with no self-respect at all. "Mark, listen up. Alex, don't love you anymore." Tears welled up in Mark's eyes as he gripped my shoulders tightly, shaking his head in denial. "You're lying." I looked at him coldly, my words cutting like knives. "Actually, I can't stand you." Before I could finish, Mark kissed me to shut me up. He expertly parted my lips, eyes closed, lost in the moment. I bit hard, tasting fresh blood as the familiar metallic scent filled my mouth. Mark didn't flinch. But then, the lady driver from that day came by, armed with a security fork. She pinned Mark down on the ground. She spat, "Pathetic excuse for a woman." Mark was detained for 15 days for harassment. When he got out, the lady driver shook my hand with a grin. "Thanks for opening my eyes." I divorced my husband. It's time to focus on me for once. They shared a knowing smile in the darkness, celebrating each other's courage. Mark's parents came all the way from City A when they heard the news. At first, I thought they were here because of Mark until I saw them at my front door with big suitcases. Besides gifts for my folks, the rest was their luggage. Mark's mom took my hand with a radiant smile. "Alex, his dad and I haven't been abroad yet since retiring. It's been walks and more walks, quite boring." Mark's mom side-eyed her husband, whispering to me, "Are the older men abroad handsome?" Turns out, they came for me. I took the 4 of them overseas. I went to study. They went to play. Perfect for a mahjong table. That day, I took them to a seaside restaurant for dinner. In the bathroom, I overheard Mark's mom on the phone. I wasn't eavesdropping, just about to leave, but then I heard her snapping into the phone. "I know, okay? Enough already. I'll keep an eye on your husband. You just keep calm in custody." I quietly left. After dinner, just outside the restaurant, Mark's mom grabbed my hand, shouting excitedly, "Son, look at that! Look at that!" I followed her gaze to a stunning blonde beauty with blue eyes. "She's beautiful! I want her as my daughter-in-law." Side story. Mark. From the moment I was born, I had an endless supply of love. Besides being good-looking, I had a wealthy dad. My mom was a pretty salesgirl. I got my looks from her. There was gossip that my mom married my dad for gain, not love. I used to argue against it, but eventually I accepted it as truth. Around me, from classmates to teachers, even the school leaders, they treated me with extreme care and kindness. Once I trusted them, their true intentions came out. They just wanted to use me to connect with my dad for their own benefit. My world started falling apart. Friendship was fake. Family love was fake. Romantic love was fake. Everything was fake. I became extremely rebellious. After kicking down the principal's office door countless times, my parents sent me to a high school far from CDA. No one knew who I was there, and teachers and classmates were indifferent, except for some boys who were obsessed with my looks. Most didn't care about me. They were focused on their own goals. They dreamed of a future where hard work made anything possible. I scoffed at their naive dreams. Flattering some kid was way more effective than any effort. My desk partner was a dark-skinned nerd with glasses who often said, "I'm so jealous of you, Mark." I played with my Game Boy, raising an eyebrow in confusion. Someone playing like me has to stay top of the class just to get boys to notice me like you do me. Even though your grades are at the bottom, you look like a Korean star. With a face like this, you'll never lack boys' attention, the love notes and gifts. I laughed in exasperation, feeling energized. I wanted to prove that beyond my looks and my background, there were other reasons people could genuinely like me. And I did really well. Teachers started noticing me after every mock exam. Their eyes were filled with hope, affirmation, and pride. Boys' admiration for me wasn't just about my looks anymore. There was now respect. This was my achievement, not tied to some superficial attributes. I met Alex in our sophomore year, pale-skinned with dimples at the corners of his mouth. Not handsome exactly, but definitely refined. He was like any of the other boys who liked me, bringing water, gifts, writing love letters. After rejecting enough of them, I mostly ignored the efforts. Many chased, but few stuck with it. Not everyone likes a one-sided effort. But Alex was different, persistent. He had an endless courage, shining like a little sun, cheerfully greeting me every day. "Hey, Mark, my name's Alex." So much that later, if I didn't see him for a day, I felt this emptiness. Couldn't even concentrate in class. I desperately shook off the wild thoughts from my mind. He's just like everyone else. Only liked my face. Don't give your heart away easily. Didn't you learn enough from falling into a bottomless abyss as a kid? I decided to start dating Alex in my freshman year. I jokingly criticized his style, but my heart was pounding. Scared me. Luckily, his constant chatter covered up my restless heartbeat. Age to date. Trying won't hurt. That's how I convinced myself. Initially, I thought we'd last less than 3 months, but we stayed together for 4 whole years. Being with Alex was really comfortable. He never got mad at me or caused drama. What I liked, he happened to like too, whether it was food or life habits. I got used to his initiative, his enthusiasm, his way of acting cute. The year we graduated, I gave him two choices: break up or stay together. If he chose to stay, I'd marry him. To be honest, when I asked that, I was a bit nervous inside, but I wasn't used to showing weakness, used to being on top, used to being an observer, used to detaching from things. But Alex chose the latter without hesitation. I secretly sighed in relief. Yet, I never thought Alex would leave me over a cat. Coco was an accident, or maybe Leo's revenge for rejecting his confession. But now Coco could only live the rest of its life in illness. Giving it a painless end while completing an experiment, it was a perfect solution. After the secret got out, Alex left decisively. I didn't stop him. I agreed to have drinks with old friends, and they were shocked. I used to despise hanging out with them. I didn't like smoking or drinking. These activities are harmful and make people lose themselves. They're shallow and fake. I only like tinkering with data in the lab. It was real and direct. But in that moment, I just wanted to get drunk. Not for anything else, just to celebrate that Alex finally dropped the act. He approached me with intentions, just like others. Thankfully, I never gave him my heart. "Mark, you know what you're like right now?" my friend teased. "What?" I slowly blew a perfect smoke ring into the air. A breakdown, or self-deception after breaking down. "You're in love with him." I frowned, denying what she meant. "No way. I'm too happy for that. Guys like him lie all the time, full of tricks to woo you. Then they dump you and don't cherish you. Coming and going as they please. What did he take me for?" I threw my glass to the floor, unwillingness obvious in my words. Childhood nightmares came rushing back. A voice inside kept shouting, "Pathetic! He didn't love you at all. See, he preferred a cat over you. You lost again. Tricked into giving your heart." What gave Alex the right to just leave so easily? Am I not even worth a cat? I kept testing until he admitted he loved me. He loved me and loved himself. There's no conflict between the two. I tore off all my pretenses, let my guard down, joyfully expressed my love, willing to do anything if he'd come back. But he said, "But I don't love you anymore." Cruel and heartless. I was soaked to the skin in that heavy rain. I got a fever. In my delirium, I hoarsely called Alex's name, but no one hurried over to check on me, to kiss my forehead at my bedside. I made him feel wronged. His love for me was completely used up. He no longer loved me. Facing this fact, all those little details I once ignored came back to stab me like a sharp sword, leaving me in pain, utterly crushed and hopeless. My mom scolded me for being hypocritical and arrogant, taking others' unconditional giving for granted. I deserve this. It served me right. For the first time, I didn't argue back. I asked her, "Do you and Dad love each other?" My mom paused. Her eyes softened as she sunk into memories, recollecting bits and pieces of her life. A lifetime of pursuits. No matter if it was opening a store or investing, he was always passionate, even though he never succeeded. But he maintained his enthusiasm. As long as he turned back, her husband's gaze was always sincere and firm. During leisure, we talk about life goals, reminisce old times, including my rebellious daughter's future path. Life is long. Staying away from the Vanity Fair might not be bad. When a storm was brewing, my mom would worry about her husband's injured knee, applying heat, massaging the joint, easing the pain. Never mentioning love. Love is more than just taking. It's giving, too. Love is about response, seeing and touching it. I tried following Alex's journey, and only then did I realize the hardships and grievances along the way. After submitting my resignation, Leo looked really conflicted. He was glad there'd be no competition for the end-of-year evaluations, but the lab hired some talented newcomers. Before leaving, I accidentally saw Leo and the boss in a passionate kiss. If I remember right, this boss has a husband. But none of this concerns me now. I looked up to the blue sky. My dear Alex, this time, let it be me running towards you wholeheartedly.